Okay, it's the 9th of April. It's a Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday. We've got about 30 minutes to the NY Open. We're going to go to the charts in a second. Okay, just 1 second. Just a second. Okay, start with the calendar. So no news today. Just like the last couple of days, we have no news. Tomorrow is CPI and Friday PPI, right? So it's going to be a regular trading day, but we've been having a lot of volume since last Thursday. Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, lots of volume, right? Even today, lots of volume. 4 consecutive days of high volume consecutive, 4 consecutive days with high volume. Right, that's a daily candle already. Look at that. That's very likely a 1,000 pip candle, almost. Yeah, we should easily get to 1,000 pips or more today. And that's been the story the last several days. 1,100 pip candle, 1,200 plus pip candle, uh, 980 pip candle, and then a 470 pip. That's 475 pips, and that's a small candle. That's how much of volume gold is having. It's a 475 pip candle, and that's a low volume day for gold. Already at almost at 1,000 pips, 960, easily heading to 1,000 pips today. Price is pushing up. Okay, let's go up a time frame to the weekly and take a look at what's happening. Okay, so we rejected the previous week. We spoke about this yesterday and the last couple of days we've been talking about this. We've rejected 3150, 3135, and 3100. Three price levels. That's a liquidity grab from 3150. Price has rejected all three. That's why you have a massive wick, 800, a plus 800 pip wick from those levels, right? It's rejected. So we are bearish. This is possibly a pullback to continue the bearish trend, probably a retracement for price to continue going down, because remember that there is a gap. You can see the gap here. This is where the market closed on Friday, and this is where the market opened on Monday. That's a 450 pip gap, right? And that gap is what is getting filled right now on the weekly. Okay, it gets filled on low time frames first, and then it gets filled on high time frames, obviously, because that's how time frames work. It's easier to fill a gap instantly on a low time frame, on a 15-minute or even a 5-minute. It can easily push up and fill that gap. But then on the daily and the 4 hours and the daily, it needs to wait for those candles to close for price to gradually push up to fill that gap. And that's exactly what we're seeing happen right now. So we are still, me personally, I still consider this on the weekly time frame. We are very bearish right now on the weekly because this weekly candle hasn't closed yet, right? So when we look at the weekly time frame, this is the information that we have, that we are bearish, right? We've rejected these three price levels, right? Uh, I'll repeat those levels again. 3100, 3135, and 313 and 3150, right? The open was around 3086, the weekly candle, and it looks like we're heading back up to that area, okay? But on the weekly, we're still bearish. Let's go to the daily. Now, we've been bearish about 4 days, and we had a doji yesterday and even the previous day. But this could be a retracement. Now, why is this happening here? It's happening here because of 2956. That was a perfect tap of 2956. You can see the daily candles tap here. This is a weekly SR level. Price tapped here and has pushed up over 1,000 pips already, right? 1,100 pips. It's pushed up from 2956. That's how important these weekly SR levels are on the chart. So feel free to take a screenshot of this at any point and mark these levels, because these levels work pretty well, right? And they work for months and on end. They work pretty well. Okay, so price is pushing up right now. Now, if you look at the last 2 days, the daily candles have absolutely no information on it, right? This one has no information. There was no tradable range if you look at the daily candle has no tradable range, right? Because price opened and closed at the same place. These are the highs and the lows of that daily time frame, but the tradable range is here, and there is no tradable range because price just opened and closed at the same area. The previous day, it's a very similar story. We have a high and a low, and we have a very small tradable range, which is about 100 pip tradable range. That is where the majority of the trades took place, within that 100 pip range. Okay, so in terms of information, these two candles don't give us any information, right? We have to look at, then if we can't consider these daily candles, we look back at the previous candle, which is this one. This is a clear push down, and we completely ignore these two candles because they don't give us any information, no value, no usable information on this time frame. With these candles, right? On this time frame, there is no usable information. So if you look at this time, if you consider this to be the previous candle and not these two, if you consider this as the previous daily candle, then we have a close below 3055, and that's exactly where price is right now. That's exactly where price is right now. So this level 3055 is now a decision area, right? Because I'm completely ignoring these candles, okay? In my analysis, I'm completely ignoring these candles. So this is the previous daily candle, and the candle before that, we tapped 3055, perfectly rejected it. Then the next day, we closed below it. Now this area, 3055, is significant. It's a decision area. Is price going to retrace to this, to 3055 or 3050? They're both very close to each other. And is it going to continue to push up to 3086 and 3100? Or are we going to reject this area and come down to 3016? That is what we need to look at today, right? Are we going to reject and push down close below so that maybe tomorrow we can continue down? Or are we going to close above 3050 and 3055 to continue up, right? So there is no point in trying to buy the top here because price has already moved almost 1,000 pips, right? So if we are to buy, we are looking for a pullback first and then a buy. So if we get a pullback, if we are anticipating a pullback, then we can look to take sells also if the condition, if all trading conditions are met. If all the trading conditions are met, then we can look to take sells from this area because, as I said, again, 3055 is an important area, right? We're ignoring these candles. We're looking at this candle, the previous candle tapped, this candle closed below, and prices come exactly to that level where price closed below, right? So 3055 is an important area. Now let's go to the trading chart. Right. Before we start our zones, let's do a quick recap of what happened yesterday. So yeah, so price closed below here. This was a a clean 30-minute resistance form, a tradable 30-minute back candle closed, and it also closed, it tapped the liquidity candle and closed below the London high, right? We took trades from around here. These are the TP levels that I had given. 3,000 was one. Yeah, 3000 was one. The next was 2996, and the next was 2989, and then I said if it comes further down, 2979. I had taken orders and I placed TPs at all of those levels, so I got out at all those levels. When price came when it tapped 2996 and closed below, then I brought my stops to break even and I let this trade run. So from about there, this was, I think the entry was somewhere around there, and this was 160 pips, let's say. The next one was about 200 plus pips, and then it was 270 pips, and then the last trade was about 370 pips, right? So that was a very good trade. Price played out exactly the way we anticipated it would. It took time though. Price it took time, but we had our risk management in place, right? We said if price closes, if a 15-minute candle closes above 3022 or 3023, we're going to manage risk, because the initial stop loss was here at 30.26. That was the initial stop loss, right? And then when price came back and didn't close, then I brought my stop loss just above this candle. So then we have now a lower risk, right? So from 140 pips, now we've come down to 60 pips, right? And then I said when after price came here to 3000, I put a level at 3019 because that's where 15-minute resistance was formed. Let's go back there. Yeah, 3019. So I said if a 15-minute candle now closes above this, then we're going to close everything, because it's very likely that we're heading up. And not a single 15-minute candle closed above 3019. Once price came down here, it came back up, but we didn't close above here, and price just continued down, right? So that was a good trade. Now let's get rid of all of these. And that was the only trade idea that I gave. Only sells. I said there are no other trade ideas. If these sells don't work, then look for sells from further up, right? But there were no buy ideas at all, very clearly. So you can watch the last, if you watch the last 7 minutes maybe of yesterday's stream, 5 minutes probably of yesterday's stream, you'll understand the trade idea that was given, the trade that I took, and the trade idea that was given. Okay, let's get rid of all of this. Okay, that's a clean chart. All right, let's start with prices pushing towards supply. Let's start with demand. Okay, now let's start here. This is the most obvious one. There's a rally, base rally here. So let's mark that first. Okay, then we have a drop, base rally here. This is a reaction of this zone. So let's bring that. We haven't broken through it yet, so I'm just going to combine those zones together. Okay, now let's take a look at this area, because I always say when price goes across a BRN or a weekly SR level, you got to go down to the lower time frame and take a look at that area, because you're very likely to find a zone there. So let's look at 30-minute. There is a zone. There's a rally. These are base-in candles, and that's a rally. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 base-in candles and a rally. That's the leg in, base, leg out, right? It's very clear. put the numbers there, 542 and 432. 542 and okay. And this 1 hour candle should close this way, but even if it doesn't, we have a 30-minute leg out, right? And that's good enough because we're looking at the low time frame, we're looking for the base, and there is a clear base there. Yeah, that's the base. I'm going to bring it up to this open 719. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Okay. Right. Let's take a look at this area also on the 1 hour. There is it's clear on the 1 hour the base, but let's take a look at the 30-minute as well. Yeah, this is better. Let's include that as well. Now it's important to note that the EMAs have crossed. Okay, very important to note. So we are bullish right now on the for the session. We are bullish. There's a lot of bullish volume. 6, 7, 7, 1. Okay. Okay, and this one also we're going to keep it to the 1 hour. We have a drop, a base, and that's also at a weekly SR level. So yeah, that's good. 8605. Okay, that's the demand levels, right? That's your demand levels for um, the NY session. So that's 4 hour. That's also 4 hour, and this is 1 hour. Okay, supply. All right, this area, this is our 4 hour supply that we had drawn yesterday. We're just going to extend it to the right, and we're going to go down a time frame and take a look at that area. Yeah, it's good enough. Let's take a look at the 30 minutes. Yeah. There is a zone here. No, I'm not too worried about this zone because we've got 3086. If price comes up, it's going to get, as I've always said, and the reason I'm not going to draw this zone here is because these liquidity areas, these 5 areas are like magnets. They draw price to them, right? So if you have a zone here and a liquidity area here, just a few pips away from it, it's very likely that price is going to um, go up to 3086. Okay, we'll yeah, but we have another zone here as well. Interesting. No, it's okay. I'm going to keep it there. Yeah. Okay. Prices come above here. There is no top wick. You can see the push up with momentum. Prices come above here, so we should be coming to this area. Okay, let's just extend this to right. Okay. Right, so these are the zones. Now the next thing, we're going to take a look at these zones and see which of them are high liquidity zones and which aren't. Okay. Okay, let's start with this zone here. So that is a high liquidity zone from yesterday, and price hasn't come. This was the original zone. Let's see on the 4, this was the zone, the 260 pip zone. So it hasn't come 50% of the way, so we're going to leave that as a high liquidity zone. Then we have this. Has this demand taken out supply to the left? Yes, we have a rally, we have a drop base and a drop here, and this was the high of the base, and this move up took out this high. So this is a high liquidity zone. Let's take a look at this area. Is this a high liquidity zone? Has it taken out anything? Yes, it has. This move up has taken out this. So there would be a, if you go down to 30-minute, we'll find a base there, rally, base, drop. That was the high, that was the top part of the base. All right, that's 172 pip base, and that was taken out by this push up here. Right, so this too is a high liquidity zone. Okay. Okay, next thing. We're going to take a look at these two new demand zones that we have here and look for a liquidity candle, right? Um, let's start with the 1 hour. Let's start with this one. This 1 hour candle is just about to close. Okay. So there's nothing on the 1 hour here. Let's go to the 30-minute. On the 30-minute, we have this large candle here. It's a 180 pip candle. Let's start with that. Let's go to the 15-minute. It's still that same candle. Let's check the 5-minute. Yeah, that would be the 225 push-up. Yeah, so we'd have to mark that on the 15-minute. That's the largest candle right there. It's 93, 102, 97, 21. Yeah, we're gonna have to keep it at the it covers the entire zone. 235432. It's okay. All right. Further down, let's look at this area. This would be the candle, 144 pips, 148. Let's take a look at the 30-minute. 122, 150. Let's go to the 15-minute. 106, 131. 836. Yeah, we'll go with this. 836,545. Okay, right. Now, I want to take a look at the supply zone again, right? We didn't spend much time on it yesterday because price is pushing down. Let's get rid of this and let's take a look at it with fresh eyes. Just a second. Okay, let's start with the 1 hour. On the 1 hour, we have this candle. That's a 336 pip candle. That's the largest. Let's start with that. Let's go to the 30-minute. $342 pip candle. 240. Let's go to the 15-minute. $240. 195. 220. $308. Yeah, let's stay with the 30-minute candle here, because that is where price dropped from. Just from 3100, 3100. It failed to come back in, tapped 3100 and pushed all the way down. So let's take the entire 30-minute candle, because the 15-minute candle will be above that 3100 level. So let's take the entire candle. 945, 558. Okay, better. That's where we're coming to. We're coming here 3086 and then to the liquidity candle 3095, 3095, 3096. 3086, 3096. So there is a 100 pips here. Okay. All right. Now, got 2 minutes to the NY open, and then we have another 15 minutes after that. I always wait for the first 15-minute candle to close of the NY open. So the NY opens, and I wait for the first 15-minute candle to close before I decide to look for a setup, right? Now, I'll be back in a couple of minutes, and then we're going to take a look at what price has done in the Asian and London sessions, okay? Because that may help us gain some knowledge on what price could possibly do in the first couple of hours of the NY open. Okay, I'll be back in 2 minutes. Okay. All right. Let's go to the 50-minute time frame and see where the market opened today. That's the market open. So the market opened at 2983. Zoom in a bit. Is the market open, right? Okay. Okay. So in the Asian session, the market moved 410 pips, and in the London session, also 400. So 400 pips in the Asian session, 400 pips in the London session, right? That's an 800 pip move just in those at the open of those two sessions. Now, let's take a closer look at what price did. So the market opened here. Price was bearish yesterday. It did push up. Okay, so yeah, this is yesterday. This is price was bearish. That's the market open. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Interesting. All right. Let's take a closer look at this now. The market opened here. Where is that? Yeah. This is where the market opened. We were bearish, so price ranged. The second half of the NY session, it was bearish. The first half, it was very bearish. Price pushed down, I think about 300, about 475 pips, and then it was exhausted and it continued to range. The second half of the NY session and the Asian Open, it ranged, right? And then price dipped into 2979, closed below it, tapped the liquidity candle that we had identified yesterday here, right? That we had identified the liquid, it's a 30-minute liquidity candle that we had identified, tapped the liquidity candle and pushed up. It created the Asian low, pushed up, closed above, came back, tapped it again, right? It gathered a lot of volume there because it was very bearish yesterday. So it had dropped 480 pips to get here, grabbed volume from the liquidity candle once, twice, closed above, continued straight up, right? Above 3,000, right? We tapped 3,000, closed above it, and the next candle continued, and we formed the Asian high. We pushed back, tapped 3,000 a couple of times, 3 times in fact, again, closed above the Asian high, came and tapped 3016, right? That's a weekly SR level, closed above it, came back below, tapped the Asian high again, closed above the Asian high. We formed the London low. We closed above. We formed the London low exactly at the Asian high, right? You can consider this as a single price level, and then closed above 3016, continued all the way up to 3050. Tapped 3050, rejected. We created the London high, pushed down and ranged, right, until pre-NY. This is pre-NY, right? This is the pre-NY push up. And now we've closed above 3050. We've closed above the London high, and we've closed above 3055. Let's take a look at the 30-minute time frame. Yeah. So we formed support here just before pre-NY. This is not pre-NY. This is just before pre-NY. This is the pre-NY candle. That's 1400 hours IC market server time, and this is a tradable 30-minute candle, right? A tradable 30-minute candle. This is not a tradable. I would consider this not as a tradable 30-minute candle because there is no wick at the bottom, and it's a very small body candle with equal wick at the top, right? But this is a tradable 30-minute candle, and we've closed above 3050, and we've closed above the London high and 3055. Now we should be heading to 3086. So can we take a buy here? Yes, that's possible. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. Price is very bullish, extremely bullish, right? Now it can play out. There are two scenarios that can play out here for buys, both for buys, two scenarios. Okay. The first is price is very far away from the EMAs. So price may not create 30-minute support. It might create 15-minute support and push up. You might get 15-minute support, a tradable 15-minute bull candle needs to close, and you could possibly take the buys to go up to 3086 and then further up to 3096. That's one scenario. The second is price pulls back, creates 30 minutes support, and then we take the trade to go up. We create 30 minutes support, a tradable 30-minute bull candle closes, and then we wait for the pullback and take the trade to go up, right? So either that's the same scenario happens on the 15-minute time frame or the 30-minute time frame. And the only reason I would consider the 15-minute time frame today is because price is very far away from the EMAs, and that means only one thing, that price is trending. It's in a heavy uptrend. When there is a very strong uptrend, price may not create 30-minute support. You might get 15-minute support form and price could push up, right? That's the only reason. If price wasn't far from the EMAs as it is right now, about 400 pips away, then I would have looked only for 30-minute support and a tradable 30-minute bull candle to close, to wait for the pullback and take the buys to go up to 3086 and 3096. The only reason I would consider 15-minute support today is because of the distance between current price and the EMAs. Right? I hope that's clear. That's what I'm looking for. For sells, there are no sells here. Even if a 30-minute candle closes below this, I will not take sells because you can't. It's closing inside a high liquidity candle and in demand, so there is no sell. So even if price comes back, a 30-minute resistance forms and a 30-minute back candle closes below the London high, I will not take sells because you cannot sell inside a demand zone, right? I cannot sell inside them. There are traders who do that. That's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with it if that works for you. But I don't do that. I don't sell in demand. I buy in demand and I sell at supply, right? So I'm looking for buys. I'm waiting for the two scenarios that I just explained. Price to pull back, create 15-minute support and a tradable 15-minute bull candle to close to take the buys to go up to 3086 and then 3096, or the same scenario with on the 30-minute time frame. Okay, I hope that's clear. Any questions on anything that I have explained so far? Please feel free to drop a question in the chat and I'll do my best to answer. Yeah, so the 1 hour candle has closed a clear, we have formed clear demand there, very clear demand. Right? Rally based rally, clear. 30-minute, it was already formed. Now 15-minute candle is forming resistance, doesn't matter. I need to see 15-minute support or 30-minute support, right? So we have to wait for the next 15-minute candle. So there's plenty of time. There's nothing to do right now. For sells are up here. Sells up here. Pretty simple. It's very, sorry, it's not simple. It's very straightforward. There's nothing simple about trading. It's very straightforward. Sells up here. Sells at liquidity levels above. We have we have four liquidity levels above. We have 3086, that's a weekly SR level. We have the liquidity candle. We have 3100, and then we have 3135. Four liquidity levels above. Any one of those levels, if you get your setup, if I get my setup, then I'll take sells from any one of those levels. But here, no sells. And below this, below 3050, no sells because it's demand. For buys, there are also many liquidity levels. You got to remember, you should not focus only on one, right? Be fluid. You have to consider all five of these, right? So there is one here, 3055, that's one liquidity level. Then you have the liquidity candle. Then you have 3050, that's three. And then below that you have the EMA, right? That's four. One, two, three, four. And then below that we have another liquidity candle, that's five. Then we have an EMA, that's six. And then we have another weekly SR level, that is 3016, that's seven. So plenty of liquidity levels below and plenty of liquidity levels above for price to come to. Right now we're in the middle. I'm not doing anything. So the 15-minute candle has closed a bearish doji, doesn't mean anything. I'm waiting for price for the two scenarios that I explained, right? So I'll explain that again. Price to pull back, create 15-minute support and a tradable 15-minute bull candle to close. Wait for the pullback and take the buys for price to run to 3086 and 3096, right? If 15-minute support forms here, your safer stop loss is under the liquidity candle low, which is 3034.3, so around 3034, right? That would be your safe stop loss. On the 30-minute, same thing on the 30-minute. If price goes further, if it goes below the liquidity candle, then your stop loss would be under the 15-minute candle low or the 30-minute candle low that created support, right? But if it's from the liquidity candle, then a safer stop loss is under the liquidity candle low, right? A more aggressive stop loss, if price is in here and creates support, the more aggressive stop loss is under the 15-minute candle low or the 30-minute candle low that created support. That's the more aggressive stop loss. The more conservative stop loss is always under the liquidity candle. Always, if it sells, it's above a liquidity candle. If it's buys, it's below the liquidity candle. Okay. All right. So we have about 13 minutes for the candle to close. I'll be back in a few minutes. All right, if we have a pullback, price is coming to the liquidity candle. We're waiting for support. So I'm waiting for one of the two scenarios that I explained, right? I would prefer 30 minutes support. I always prefer 30 minutes support over 15 minutes support, always, right? Except for CPI and NFP. On any other day, I always prefer 30 minutes support. I've said this over 100 times. But on some days, sometimes when you have high volume, when you have 1,000 pip candle, right? This is almost at 1,000 pips. No, it is 1,000 pips. It's already crossed 1,000 pips, right? When you have 1,000 pip candle on days where you have 1,000 pips like this, or 900, 800 pips, it's just a lot of volume, right? So you're not going to prices not may not have the time to pull back, slow down, create 30-minute support, and then push up. So that is why you got to look for 15-minute support. Those are they don't happen often, right? So 85, 90% of the time, it's always going to be 30-minute support resistance, right? That's what you're waiting for. But here today, I'm considering taking trades of 15-minute support form. Mm. Yeah, I'm not looking for any sells. I just wanted to repeat that again. I'm not looking for any sells, right? Because price action, the way I draw price action, the way I draw zones, does not allow me to look for sells, because even if you have a close below the London high here, it's demand. There's a high liquidity candle. There's a high liquidity zone. It's a high liquidity demand zone, right? And there's a high liquidity candle here, so it does not allow me to take sells here. I'm looking for buys, but I'm waiting for support to form. Got another 4 minutes. Um, we have to wait. Possibly wait for this candle to close and then the next one to close too. Now you got to be careful though. Um, the buys will have to be, they can't be here, right? Because you've got 3055. So if you take a buy here, it's going to hit 3055, right? Soon as it gets there, and we could continue to push down. So you're either taking buys above 3055 or at 3055, either at 3055 or above it, or you're taking buys below. If support forms down here, you're taking buys below. That's fine, because the momentum to when price pushes up will break this and continue to head up, right? And you'll also have a lot more RR on that trade if you get support down here. Um, but here you can't take buys here because you got 3055, right? And 3055 is an important area, right? We spoke about this in the first 7 minutes of the stream. I spoke about this very clearly, right? This is just a second. Yeah, we spoke about this, right? That price, how important this area is. So we ignored these daily candles, the previous two daily candles, completely ignored them, and we're considering this as the previous daily candle, and this closed, the one before that tapped 3055, and the next one closed below it, and that is a decision point. That's exactly where price is right now, right? It's trying to make a decision. Is it going to reject? We spoke about this at the first 5 minutes, 7 minutes of the stream, so you can go back and listen to it, that what is price going to decide to do today? Is it going to reject this? This is a decision point. Is it going to reject and close below this, right? For price to head down, probably for the rest of the week, or is it going to decide to close above it so the price can push up, continue to push up, probably today and then maybe even tomorrow, right? So 3055 is a very important area. So you don't want to take a sell just above it. Absolutely not, because of 3055 and the demand level and the high liquidity candle. And you don't want to take a buy just under it, right? Because you can see how many times you've rejected. If you go down to the lower time frame, you'll see how many times price has rejected that area. You can see that, right? Tapped it, pushed down almost 1,000 pips, right? And you don't want to take a buy just under it. You want to buy here somewhere below, because then the momentum to once price starts pushing up, that momentum should break 3055 and continue higher. Or you want to take a buy at 3055 or just above it. This candle has no bottom wick. We could come down. We could continue to push down. It's a tradable 30-minute candle. 14. Yeah. I would be comfortable taking buys below. Not here, not anywhere near 3050 or 3055 or the London high, nothing there. I would like to take buys below, because then I would be able to take partial positions at about 100 pips when price gets to 3050 or the London high or 3055, and then I can expect the momentum to carry price through, right, above those areas. So this would be my favorite spot to take buys. Just have to be patient. Yeah, we're going to wait for this candle to close. We've got this candle is closed bearish. Going to wait for this one to close. We formed resistance here. That's good. And the resistance is formed above. The candle is closed above the London high. That's important to note, above the London high, right? That's a very important level for today, the London high. Yeah, that's the London high and the pullback closed above, and this candle closed, the 30-minute candle closed above it, not below it, right? So again, I've explained this, what I'm waiting to see, either 50-minute support or 30-minute support. So we're going to wait, keep this 30-minute, 28 minutes for 30-minute candle to close, and 13 minutes for the 15-minute candle to close. I'm going to leave it on the 15 minutes and just wait. Price should come below this. Let's put a price level there. 536. Right. Okay. Yeah, we should break this if price should come down, and yeah, seems like probably do it with this in this candle itself. I think price will come down. Yeah, should come and break this low, right? And then after it breaks the low, it's better after that, not before, but after it breaks the low to wait for 15-minute support to form. And then a 15-minute tradable bull candle needs to close. Either that can happen on the 15 or on the 30. I'm okay with either of them. I prefer the 30, but I might have to consider 15-minute support today. Yeah, 15-minute candle, no bottom wick. And then there's a 5-minute candle here that has no bottom wick. That's why I marked this here. 3041.47, 3045.36, right? I'm anticipating price to come to at least the first level, if not the second level as well. And then once it taps it, then possibly create 15-minute support or 30-minute support. If it doesn't and we form 15-minute support here, then we could take a trade at 3055 or above it. Like I said, 3055 or above it. But then the stop loss is going to be very wide. It's going to be very, very wide. Yeah, that's the downside of taking a trade at 3055 or above. You're going to have put the stop loss here under the liquidity candle. It's going to be very wide. And you're anticipating price to push up to here, 300 pips and then 400 pips. It may not happen today. May not happen because today we've already moved. We've already moved 1,000 pips. Can it go another 1,000? Yeah, it can. It can. It can. Yeah, 1,150. Yeah, easy. Easy. Yeah, this is easy. 116. Easy. Yeah, 1250. Easy. It can make it. It can make it today to 3095. That's pretty easy. If we are bullish. If you're bullish. Now, we spoke about this. We spoke about two scenarios. Is price going to reject this 3055 and are we going to come down and close? That means um, we'll need to look at sells, right, for price to come down. If not, then price is going to, the second scenario is price is going to come up and ideally close above 3050 and even possibly above 3055. So then in that scenario, we look for buys, right? So we have to look at the lower time frame. What the lower time frame, what is price action showing us on the lower time frames, right? So we've formed here. Yeah, we've tapped this, tapped it, and we're closing, but you cannot buy here. There's no way that you can buy, but this is a reaction to this. I'm going to mark this now because price is reacting to it. Yeah, I'm going to mark that. 127,736. 127. Yeah. We spoke about this. This was an area. I kind of ignored it because price was come, but now since price has tapped it and is reacting to it, we got to draw it, we got to have it, right? That's 30-minute supply. And the reason we consider 30-minute supply here is because of the weekly SR level. Whenever price goes across a BRN or a weekly SR level, you have to go down to the lower time frame and look at and find the zone, right? This has obviously taken out this on the way down, so it is a high liquidity zone. We'll also take a look at that area on the 30-minute time frame and see, look for a high liquidity candle in there. Maybe on the 15. There's nothing on the 15 except maybe this one. 204 pips. 303 pips. Yeah, possibly this one. Zero 018 986. Yeah. Yeah. That's better. Still have 170 pips to it. Still waiting. Should continue to push down. Should come to this low. Should continue to push down. So we've tapped this 30-minute supply zone. Tap this 30-minute supply zone here. The only reason we look at the lower time frame supply is because it's come, there's a zone there at the weekly SR level, right? Whenever it crosses a weekly SR level or BRN, you got to look at the lower time frame to look for that zone. That's the only reason we have that there. Okay, still waiting. The candle is going to just about to close in a couple of minutes. I think we're going to close bearish. We're very likely coming here. 30-minute candle closed above the London high, not below it, above the London high. I'm still looking for the same trade ideas that I just discussed. I've been discussing that I mentioned several times, which is to wait for 15-minute support. Down here is better because we'll have some momentum to take out 3050, 3055 and push all the way up. And we'll have a lot of profit potential also. So down here is better, right? Support created down here is much better than up here. And it looks like we are coming down there. It's just about a minute for the candle to close. So we're going to wait for this candle to close. It's going to obviously close bearish. And then we're going to wait for the next candle to close after that. Right? So there's a lot of waiting to be done today. Okay, I'll be back in a... Candle is closing bearish. We are closing below that level. There was no bottom wick on that. We've closed here, no bottom wick. Important. No bottom wick. Like this, no bottom wick. We came, grab liquidity, no bottom wick. We could push up, but we have to wait. Right? It's very simple. You got to wait. Not simple, sorry, very straightforward. You got to wait for 15-minute support to form. 15-minute or 30-minute support to form. Okay? And that's what I'm waiting for. All right? Because candles are closing against you. You don't want to buy just because prices come and tap these levels 3045.36, and even if it does come and tap 3041.47, you don't want to buy when candles are closing against you, right? These are bear candles closing. You want to wait for at least one 15-minute candle to close in your direction and confirm support, right? So for support to form, and also, and when I say confirm support means I want to see a tradable 15-minute bull candle to close. That tells me that I can take a trade now. I can look for a setup to take a trade. Okay. All right. So we're waiting for the candle to close. We've got about 14 minutes. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. We could come down. We've tapped 3050. Let me explain why. 30-minute resistance formed. Candle closed below 3055, but not below the London high. Okay, 30-minute resistance form. Candle closed below 3055. That is a confirmation that we could be pushing down, but it didn't close below the London high. If you go to the 15, so this candle closed at 15:30 IC market server time. If you go to the 50-minute time frame, this is where the candle closed. This was 30-minute candle close. This candle opened. This candle closed below the London high, this one. The next candle tapped 3050, right? So we could be pushing down. Right? There's absolutely no sells for me because we are in demand, right? There's no sells. No way that I would take sells here inside a demand zone, right? But there are traders who do that, and if that works for them, then great. But I personally will not take because it it goes against the laws of supply and demand, right? You want to buy at demand and sell at supply. So I'm waiting. But we have tapped this, so we could push down. We could push down. We spoke about the liquidity areas, available liquidity areas for buys, right? We had 3055, we've come below that. We have 3050, we have the liquidity candle, and then we have the EMA, the first EMA. Let's see. I'm waiting for support to form and a tradable 15-minute bull candle to close, or 30-minute support to form and a tradable 30-minute bull candle to close. It's got another 6 minutes for the candle to close. Still waiting. It would be better if a 15-minute candle, once support forms, either the candle that forms support, right? If that same candle that forms support, if that same candle closes above the London high, back above the London high, that would be better. And then you can look for the pullback to take the trade to go up, right? It's about a 270 pip move up, and then further up, right? 400 pip move up to 2086. That would be better. We'll have to wait and see. Because you want to see confirmation that price is starting to go in your direction, right? So a bull candle forms is fine. You have support form, that's fine. But you'd like to see a candle close above above the London high again, to confirm that now this was a problem, right? This was a very important area, 3050, the London high. That's all in the similar area. So that was an important area, and price struggled. It struggled. You can see how many times we couldn't close above. We tapped it, couldn't close above. We tapped, couldn't close above. Tapped, couldn't close above. Closed above. Came back, closed below. So you want to see a candle close back above 3050 or at the London high or above it, somewhere in that vicinity for the pullback and then to take the trade, right? But we're still pushing down. We could come down. We could come down here. Just have to wait patiently. Yes. If you get a trade today, good. I'll be here for another 30 minutes. If you get a trade, good. If you don't, that's fine too. Tomorrow is CPI. You gotta once you have your rules, those rules will on some days it'll give you trades, on some days it won't. And on the days it doesn't, it might keep you away from good trades, right? But you don't know the outcome. And on the days it does give you trades, it might give you a trade that ends up being a loss because we don't know the outcome. All we do know, all we do have are rules, and then how to manage risk when price goes against you. That's all you can control. And if you do those two things right, if you adhere to your rules of your entries, and if you adhere to rules of risk management, then you will protect your capital and you won't blow your account. Like 95% or more traders, that's eventually they all end up blowing their account. It might be 3 months, 6 months, a year, and they'll eventually blow their account, right? So if you just follow those two steps, they're difficult, they're not easy. Risk management is not easy, it's not simple, but it can be straightforward. If you have strict rules and if you have a certain way, if you're using a trade manager to do that, or if you're doing it manually, but you follow the same logical rules based off of price action or based off of whatever it's based off of. If you follow them every day, every single time you get in a trade, if you use that same logic to manage risk, and you use that same logic to enter a trade, and if you just continue those two steps, you will protect your capital. And if you're not losing, then you will gain. Eventually, you will be consistently profitable. Now, we've had 2 great days, Monday, Tuesday. So that doesn't mean that today has to be a great day too. There's a possibility of a win, a possibility of a loss, and a possibility of not having a trade today, right? Those are all very real possibilities. And all you can do is manage risk. How do I lose less today? If your risk is 2%, if your risk is 3%, how do I lose less than that? Because money saved is money won, right? So you save dollars, you won. You won dollars. Okay, 50-minute candle is closing possibly a doji, a bullish doji. Yeah, there is support forming here for sure, but we have to wait for the candle to close. It's got another 30 seconds for the candle to close. We have to wait. Okay, so the candle closed. Small body, more top wick. Yeah, I wouldn't consider this a tradable 15-minute bull candle. I wouldn't consider this a tradable 15-minute bull candle, right? So support has formed, but this is not a tradable 15-minute bull candle to me. To me, it's not, right? This is a tradable candle, 15-minute bull candle. This is a tradable 15-minute bull candle. This is a tradable 15-minute bull candle. This is not. This is a tradable 15-minute bull candle, right? You see the difference? This is very similar to this, right? It's got a lot of wick at the top, very little wick at the bottom, smaller body. This is not a tradable 15-minute, but 15-minute support has formed. So we have to wait. So all that means is once now 15-minute support has formed, you got to wait for the next 15-minute candle to close. Okay, so I'll be back in about 5 minutes maybe. I'm going to wait for the 15-minute candle to close. And depending on how this one closes, um, I'll have a better idea of what could possibly happen in the next hour or 2 hours, maybe next hour. So depending on where this candle or the next candle closes, so depending on where the 30-minute candle closes, 30-minute candle has 27 minutes close. So we'll wait for another 25 minutes possibly, and we'll see if we're going to close bullish or we're going to come down and close bearish. And depending on where this candle, 30-minute candle closes, I will see if there is a possibility of giving out a trade idea for the next 2 hours to 2.5 hours of the NY session, right? So that is starting 9:30 a.m. EST to around 11:30 a.m. EST, right? 11:30, maybe even 12 noon EST, but ideally between 9:30 and 11:30 a.m. EST. Okay, I'll be back in about 3-4 minutes. Still got about 7 minutes for the candle to close. We have to wait, but it seems like we are pushing up. There's no bottom wick on this candle though. Yeah, we'll wait for the candle to close. Let's wait. There's no bottom wick here. There's no bottom wick. Price pushed up. Yeah. Yeah, we should be coming here. I'm going to wait for the 15-minute candle to close, and then possibly if price taps 3055, take a buy there to push up here. 220 pips, 3077, and then 300 pips, 3086, and then 3096. Got to wait for the 15-minute candle to close. Because this is not a tradable 15-minute candle. Though a 15-minute support has formed, it's not a tradable candle. You got to wait for a tradable candle. And ideally, if this candle closes above the London high, that's more confirmation. That's a tradable candle plus more confirmation that we are heading up. And then that's when you can buy here You'll have stop loss would be a little wide. More aggressive stop loss would be under the 15-minute candle low that created support. That's possibly where I'm going to have my stop loss, and then look for price to push up about 220 pips. All right. So these are the TP levels. If we close bullish, if a bull candle closes, a tradable bull candle closes, right? 3077, 3086, and 3096. Sorry, just gotta wait another minute. Yeah, 3096. Okay. Right, a minute more for the candle to close. Let's see. We should close a bull candle here. 45 minutes for the candle to close. Yeah, stop loss is going to be under that. Conservative stop loss under that. Aggressive stop loss under the 15-minute candle low. Just have to wait. One 138,266. Yeah, that's a tradable bull candle. When I'm closing above the London high, so I'm going to place a pending here, 3055. 3055. Pull back. And maybe another one at this high, 35, 45. That's about 220 pips. And if this gets triggered, then that's about 250 pips, 300 pips. Let's see. Let's see. If we come down, then we got to find a way to manage risk. We have 15-minute. We have an area that we can manage risk at. But it has to trigger first. Price has to come down. 3055 is one pending order. There's a further one down at the London high, and then maybe even one at 3050. Yeah, so these are the buys. So we got about 10 minutes more for the streams to end. I'll be here for another 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. We've waited so far, right? And we waited because there was a reason for us to wait, for me to wait. Wanted to see 15-minute support form, wanted to see a 15-minute tradable candle close, and that's what we had. And this is what we've been waiting for since the NY session opened, right? This is something that I said right at the beginning of the NY Open at 8 a.m. EST. And now we have it, and almost an hour and a half later, we have our setup. We're waiting. Pending order is 3055. I'm not going to chase price. I'm going to wait there. If it doesn't tap here, if it just continues to push up, so be it, right? I've got no problems with that. I'm waiting at 3055 with the pending order, and further down at at around 3052. All right, 3055, 3052 is where I'm waiting with my pending orders, right? And maybe even further down, if you come here to 3047, I'd place a pending order there as well. 3047, right? Yeah, 3047. So 3055, 3052, 3047. Those are the pending orders. Now, if it doesn't trigger them and if it just continues to push up, so be it, right? But that's where I'm waiting for. And this is the trade idea. This is the trade idea. It's buys, no sells today. I'm not giving out any sell ideas today. It's just buys. So if these buys don't work out, then maybe wait further down for price to come deeper, create again 15 minutes support or 30 minutes support, and take the buys to go up. No sell ideas. I'm not giving out any sell ideas, okay? Just to be very clear, I'm not giving out any sell ideas because we're very bullish. We can go down, but price has to break through this and then pull back for sell, and that's a lot of candles need to, it's going to take a lot of time for that to happen, right? So I'm not giving out any sell ideas for the next 2 hours. So the ideas that I give out is until about 11:30 a.m. EST till about 12 noon EST. Now after that, there can be other trading ideas. That's for very later in the NY session, but the trading that I cover or the ideas that I cover is for about up to about 4 hours from the NY Open, right? From NY Open up to about 4 hours, so which is about 12 noon, 8 a.m. EST till about 12 noon EST, right? Now, in the second half of the NY session, you can have more ideas. Sales could work, but that's too far away to predict what could happen, right? Because there's a lot of candles that need to close for us to get to post 12 noon EST. So yeah, these are the buys, and if they get triggered, here's how, possibly going to end the stream in the next 10 minutes. So if it gets triggered now, then great. We can discuss how to manage risk, but if it doesn't, here's how you should be managing risk. So yeah, if a 15-minute bull bear candle closes below this, right? So we have form support here, 3044. If a 15-minute bear candle closes below 3044, you close your trades, right? You don't wait for price to go hit your stop loss, you close your trades. Because if we close below, if a 15-minute bear candle closes below, that means price is very likely pushing down, and it's coming, and this liquidity level wasn't enough, and it's possibly coming towards the next liquidity level, which is the EMA, right? And that is outside of the liquidity candle. So you don't want a price to hit your stop loss, right? So you want to keep your stop loss to a minimum. So if a 15-minute candle closes below 3044, you close your trade. That's how you manage risk, right? I'll be here for another 7 minutes. If the order is triggered, great. If not, then it might be triggered outside the stream, offline, right? Off stream. So no sell ideas again. Not giving out any sell ideas. It's buys. Either these buys to work out, price to pull back, right? Now the 30-minute candle has about 7 minutes to close, so the next one could pull back, and then we could go up. I would like to see the 30-minute candle close above the London high, right? That's what I would like to see, because we closed below, we couldn't close below, we struggled to close below. This one closed below, this one should close above. That's confirmation that that we're heading up towards 3077, right? And 3077 is, you can see this fib level 3077.5. So 3077 is not random, right? You saw how I marked it. Um, there is a liquidity candle there on the 5-minute or the 1-minute, I think. I can't remember. Let's just go back and look at it, since we have another 6 minutes. Yeah, on the 5-minute. There's a liquidity candle here on the 5-minute. That's 175 pip candle. That's the largest 5-minute candle. This is 150. This is 104. Yeah, that's the largest 5-minute liquidity candle. So there's a reason why 3077 is the first TP level, right? 3077. So you want to get in here. If it gets in here, that's about a 220 pip move up. And then if there is more volume, we could push up to 3086. That's a 311 pip move up. And then further to, if it still has volume, then 3096. That's a 400 pip move up. 400 plus pip move up. But you got to wait. I'm not willing to chase price. I'm not willing to chase, because this, if I enter here, stop loss is way too wide, right? So you got to wait for that price to pull back. If it doesn't pull back, push us up, so be it, no problem. There are many a times I've missed trades because I wait for the pullback, and I have seen over years that it has benefited me to miss out on trades, because it's not because that the trade idea was wrong, but it's benefited me because the trades that I do take, the trades that do get triggered, get higher RR, and higher RR will always protect your losing trades. So if you have, let's say, a 50% win ratio, like probably 50% win percentage, your higher RR will easily cover those 50% losses that you're going to take, within a trading month or a trading year or a quarter, trading quarter. Your high RR trades will very easily be able to recover those losses that you take. So that's just for that reason. I've always, early on in my trading career, I decided to wait for the pullback. And if it doesn't trigger, then that's fine. I've got no problems with that. I'll stay here. I'll be here until the 30-minute candle closes, right? So I've got about 3 minutes for the candle to close. I'll be here until then. But I've explained exactly what to do. So your initial stop loss is the more conservative, safer stop loss is under this candle, 34.32, right? 34.32, under 34.32, so around 34, right? It's a more aggressive stop loss is under the 15-minute candle low that created support. This one, 42.66. Okay, 42.66. This is a more aggressive stop loss. How you're going to manage risk if you get triggered, if the buys get triggered, if you're going to manage risk is if a 15-minute candle closes below 3044, you close your trades. You close all of them, not some of them. You close all of them, because that's it. It very likely means that this liquidity candle does not have enough liquidity to push price up, and we're coming to the next liquidity area. And where is the next liquidity area? The EMA, right? So it's going to come past your stop loss. Your TP levels are 3077. 3086, 3096. Roughly 100 pips apart, right? 100 and, yeah, about 90 pips, 100 pips. So on average, about 100 pips apart. We've had a lot of volume in the Asian and London session, right? Asian session price moved over 400 pips. London session we moved over 400 pips. So it's likely that price is exhausted right now, and there isn't enough volume left to continue. Now we're coming into NYSE open, so this is the time if price is to have volume in the NY session. You can see that we've not had volume in the NY session. If price is to have volume in the NY session, either to go up or to come down, this is the time. NYSE open is the time that the volume can come in, right? So we've had a kind of a retracement. Are we going to have a continuation now? Is the question. Or are we going to just continue to range for the rest of the day? Are we going to close above 3050, or are we going to close below? We still don't have any clear direction because we are ranging. We've been ranging since NY open. 30-minute candle is closing bullish above uh, the London high, which is a good sign. So wait for the, I'm waiting for the pullback to go up, to push up to 3077. All right, so that's the end of the stream. 30-minute candle is just about to close. I've given out the idea, no sell ideas. I repeat again, no sell ideas. It's these buys that I've just shared, these buy ideas where I have my pending orders placed. I've shared all the details on where the stop loss should be, where the aggressive stop loss should be, where a conservative stop loss should be, how to manage risk if the trade gets triggered, and where your TP levels are, right? And if this doesn't work, then the trade idea are still buys, but you have to wait for price to create support again, right? So this support is not enough. You've got to wait for price to to continue down, create support. Ideally, then you need to wait for 30-minute support and not 15-minute support because prices now has begun to range and we're getting closer to the EMAs. We are not as far as we were when price opened, when the NY session opened, right? We were quite far, and now we are not as far away from the EMAs as we were before. So you probably want to wait for 30-minute support to form to take the buys to go back up, right? No sell ideas. All right. That's the end of the stream. I'll be back tomorrow, 7:30 a.m. EST, and we will take a look at the charts. We'll do our prep work, take a look at the charts, and see if we have any opportunities for CPI tomorrow, right? It's CPI, so we're not going to take any trades before CPI, obviously. CPI is at 8:30 a.m. EST. We have plenty of time to do our prep work and wait until 8:30 a.m. EST to possibly trade the news event, right? That's what I'm going to be looking to do tomorrow, like I do always, trade the CPI news event, right? So we're going to be looking at the 5-minute time frame, 5-minute candle structure, and 5-minute support or resistance to take a trade during CPI. All right, take care, stay safe, don't overtrade, don't over risk. Wait for Thursday, Friday. I've been saying this since the beginning of the week. Thursday, Friday are the big days, CPI and PPI. Wait for that. Take care.